Back to you, Dave.
Well, when you come to the racetrack, it's more than just the drivers and the trainers and the folks that sell the mutual tickets. As a matter of fact, it's a lot of folks that make a racetrack go, including a 2-year-old Colt Pace, which is coming up next in a purse of over $600,000. Stan Bergstein takes a very interesting look at the racetrack through the eyes of, well, the guy that actually runs the track. So let's look in at Pompano Park and Stan Bergstein.
Pompano Park, like all racetracks, requires a day-to-day administrator. At Pompano, the silver-haired gentleman in the pink sport coat is that man, General Manager Harold Duris.
Here in South Florida, they have many choices. We have every kind of pari-mutuel there is, and now, of course, we have the lottery. And there are all kinds of entertainment here. And especially in the daytime, they go out on the beach and lay in the hot sun. They're too tired at night to go out to the races. So the challenge is still there.
Duris's day starts early and ends late. Here he is in the Pompano stable area, one of the sport's biggest and busiest, with trainer-driver Tommy Houghton, a close personal friend. Tommy's father, Hall of Famer Bill Houghton, trained and drove for Duris.
That's really a different side of racing that most tracks do not have, but we have, of course, the largest training center in the country, probably the largest training center in the world. The yearlings are purchased up north at the sales, and we see the prices at $250,000, $550,000. And the next day, they're across the road in a stall, and they're trying to put lines on them and get them out on the racetrack. In fact, in the summertime, we follow the major races up north and see how many of the horses in the first 5 trained at Pompano. We're kind of proud of that. When we get 4 out of 5 in a Sweetheart or something like that, we feel we've accomplished something down there.
And here, 14 hours after his stable area visit, and after a full day in the office, he visits the winner's circle, another of his chores.
In the 24 years I've been doing it, operating a harness track is just plain fun. I don't really look at it as work now. Don't tell Cashman that, but it really is. I just enjoy what I'm doing, so the hours don't bother me. The work has to get done, we get it done.
Many general managers in racing today are either accountants or lawyers, and Duris is one of them. He started his career as an accountant with one of the big 8 firms, and today he is a leader in the sport. Past president of Harness Tracks of America, the association of 46 major harness tracks in the United States and Canada, and current president of NARMA, the North American Harness Racing Marketing Association.
The freshman pacers are in the paddock and ready to come onto the track for our post-parade. For the second of our Breeders' Crown Championship events tonight. We'll be back with the introductions after these messages. We're back at Pompano Park in southern Florida for the second of our big doubleheader events here. It's the 2-year-old Pacers in the Breeders' Crown, and here's the field. We have Kentucky Spur at the rail with Dick Stillings driving at 5-2, the second choice in the morning line. Totally Ruthless, John Campbell, who just won the filly division, comes back with the favorite here at 9-5. Nuke's Image with Mickey McNichol is at 6. Ship Scorch with Bill O'Donnell starts at 5-1 from post 4. Sudden Sunshine with Bill Fay at 20, one of the long shots. Hostile Takeover. Boy, there's a hot tip for you if you're a hunch player with all the action in Wall Street at 15-1, and Ronnie Waples in the bike. How About It with Tom Houghton at 6-1, and San Andre with the Michelle Lachance at 20. Let's go down to the winner's circle and to Ellie Sarama.
Dave, right now in my possession, I have How About It's former shoes and the shoes that he will be wearing for this race. This is a mushroom shoe which was put on the horse's foot with a Swedish pad because of the wall separation that Tommy had spoken about earlier, and it absorbs the concussion and helps the wall separation from spreading when it does hit the track. But because the foot has gotten better, they switched to a lighter shoe, which is a full swedge aluminum shoe. It's a bar also with a rim pad, and it has a little toe grab, and it's a much lighter shoe, and it also will help the concussion of the racetrack. Now back to Dave.
When Ellie said she was out this afternoon looking for shoes, I thought she was at Bal Harbor trying to buy some for herself, Stan.
And don't forget, when you get them for the horse, he needs 4.
Well, they're just about ready to come out of the paddock right now, and the handlers are getting Kentucky Spur ready, and there he is on the racetrack, number 1.
Set the track record here last week. This is a tough and improving colt. He has won $369,000, 6 races. He'll be formidable from the rail tonight.
And the driver is Dick Stillings, who has tallied over 1,600 wins, including back-to-back victories in the Little Brown Jug. Number 2 is the favorite, Totally Ruthless.
And he is the winner of 12 of 14 starts this year. This is the one we told you about. If friends come up to you and ask if you want to buy a piece of a colt, try get one like this, $814,000.
And John Campbell, with almost $4 million to date, won in the Breeders' Crown, and his one earlier this evening. Now he has 10, make that 11 Breeders' Crown champions to his credit, age 33, from post 2, Totally Ruthless with Campbell. Number 3, Nuke's Image.
This is a very consistent colt, too. He's won $466,000. He's been 8 times first, 8 times second in 19 starts. That's consistency.
And Mickey McNichol is the driver with 18 Breeders' Crown starts. He's one of only 6 drivers to join the Breeders' Crown Millionaires Club. He's close to 2,000 wins in his career. Let's take a look at the next horse in line, and it's number 4, Ship Scorch.
He's also a consistent colt, Dave. He's been 17 times first, second, and third in 23 outings this year, and it's earned him $306,000. Won a big trip last week, was just nipped by Kentucky Spur.
The driver, Bill O'Donnell, finished 3rd with Uptown Swell in the first of our doubleheader this evening, and he was the leading driver at the Meadowlands starting in 1981, and he's been either first or second in dashes, won, and purses ever since. And here's the next horse, number 6. Make that number 5, Sudden Sunshine.
It's hard to realize that a horse that wins $100,000 is a rank outsider, but that's the case of this colt, who's won over $100,000 and doesn't figure here.
And Bill Fay, who's in the bike in his 18-year driving career, has been the dash-winning record holder at the Meadows, Scioto Downs, and Pompano Park. And next is number 6, Hostile Takeover.
You mentioned that it's a nice stockbroker's name. In the background there, you see Bruce Nichols and Dr. Sieber. Sieber is the trainer. He's a veterinarian, and the colt was purchased recently by Rose Gaida, whose husband, of course, is a former Merrill Lynch executive.
And Ron Waples is in the bike. He's won over 4,500 races in a 20-year career, and that kind of credit installed him in the Canadian Hall of Fame. Let's take a look at number 7. How about it?
2 months ago, this colt had not won a race. He broke his maiden or won his first start. Less than 2 months ago, could have been bought for $80,000, and since then has won a total of $493,000, and obviously is tough.
You met the driver earlier, Tommy Houghton, the youngest driver to win the Hambletonian in '82 behind Speedball. And what is it? He gets to cut his hair tonight if he wins? Is that what we found out?
I guess he's not cutting it until he loses.
And number 8 is San Andre.
And he is the outsider both in the field and 8th post position and in his chances, except for one fact.
And that fact is the driver, Michel Lachance, who won his 4th consecutive dash-winning title in 1987 to rack up 770 wins in a single season. That's like Babe Ruth hitting 70 homers. So there is Kentucky Spur, who won one of the eliminations. And Totally Ruthless is from the number 2 post position. Well, let's find out more about how we got down to the 8. Here's Kenny Rice and Ellie Sarem.
For tonight's 2-year-old Colt Pacing Championship, the field pared down to the 8 that we will see in just a few minutes through 2 eliminations that were held here on Saturday night at Pompano. And Ellie, as we get ready to take a look now at the first elimination last week, it was a tough one for the handicappers to figure out.
I think it was a wide open elimination. How About It had just come off of winning the Governor's Cup, and then there was Ship Scorch, who's been racing well, but Kentucky Spur is the horse to watch in here. He's got to follow big footsteps. He's from the stable of Jaguar Spur, Barberry Spur, such champions as that, and I think you're going to see here that he may be able to fill them shoes.
Okay, let's take a look now. Last week at Pompano Park for the first elimination for the 2-year-old Colt Pacers, a field of 7. Top 4 will qualify for tonight.
That third quarter, 28 seconds flat. Field bunching up around the final turn. Ship Scorch has been there all the way. He clings to a short lead. Polo Player the outside. Kentucky Spur now picking him up 3 wide. Hostile take over the rail. Ship Scorch on the inside. Here comes Kentucky Spur. Hostile takeover looking to shake loose. Ship Scorch and Kentucky Spur down to the wire. Kentucky Spur nails it in the final strides.
And Ellie, a big finish indeed for Kentucky Spur.
It certainly was. Ship Scorch cut the entire mile, tried to hang on. Kentucky Spur followed the outside flow, then tipped wide to fly home in 27-3 here to win this elimination.
And after Ship Scorch, Hostile Takeover, and How About It? Those are the 4 qualifiers from the first elimination. Now, in the second elimination, it was a little different. The first one more wide open last week, but in the second one, there was one that everyone was looking at.
Well, I think this was a battle royale. Totally Ruthless coming into the race just as top form as any horse could possibly be, and Nuke's Image also in peak form. And they battle royaled right to the wire.
As you would expect when they get together, let's go back to last Saturday night at Pompano and take a look at the second elimination for tonight's 2-year-old Colt Pacing champions.
Heading to the 3/4 pole, Nuke's Image 3 parts of a length, Totally Ruthless right at his flank. San Andre closing to be third. 3/4, 1:26 and 1/5. That third quarter, 28 and 4. Around the final turn, the battles between Nuke's Image and Totally Ruthless. Those two slug it out on the front end. Coming on third, over the wall, followed by San Andre. They are in the lane. Nuke's Image and Totally Ruthless have moved off from the rest of the pack. On the outside, Totally Ruthless. Nuke's Image is not done yet. They're battling to the wire, but the call's going to go to Totally Ruthless. Mile in 1:55 and 1/5.
And Ellie, Totally Ruthless against Nuke's Image once again.
This was a monstrous trip by Totally Ruthless. Head and head up the backside, around the final turn, halfway into the stretch, but he draws off here with a convincing win over Nuke's Image.
And Sudden Sunshine was third, and San Andre finished fourth to qualify for tonight's Breeders' Crown 2-year-old Colt Championship, a field of 8 that started out with 13 a week ago. Dave?
Well, a lot of favorite money since Central Park West took the race just completed, and you see they're putting it back on the 1 and the 2 horse. Kentucky Spur at 5-2, Totally Ruthless at 4-5. How About It from post 7 is 4.5, and everything else double digits. Back with the finale, the 2-year-old Colts on the pace after this. We're back at Pompano Park getting set for the 2-year-old Pacers in the finale of the Breeders' Crown. Stan, I know a lot of our viewers saw last night's March of Dimes trot at Garden State. Sugarcane Hanover the winner, Urassi from France finishing second, and Mac Lobel third. What about 2-year-old racing in France, in Europe?
Well, the emphasis there isn't as much on 2-year-old racing. They have very big purses in France because of their tiercé betting, off-track betting. And their purses are some of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the world overall. But the emphasis there is on age. Urassi, for example, who is the great French champion, is 8 years old. Mac Lobel is 4, so you can see that spread there. And it's not unusual for their top trotters in Europe to be 8, 9, even 10 years old. That's the last year.
Let's take a look at the money that's up for grabs in this division of the Breeders' Crown. The winner's share, almost $250,000. And again, purse money back to 5th. $24,000 plus for finishing 5th in this contest with a field of 8. Again, we have 8. Again, it starts on the back stretch. It is at 1 mile, and Kentucky Spur at the rail has the advantage. Do you think he has the advantage that Central Park West has?
Well, I don't think he has the advantage Central Park West has, and I don't think he dominates like she did. This is going to be an interesting contest. Kentucky Spur is a tough, improved horse. Totally Ruthless, of course, has ruled the division. And Nuke's Image can make it interesting for both of them. So I think we're going to see a very interesting race here. Kentucky Spur, Dick Stillings has stamped himself, Dave, as an outstanding selector of yearlings.
Let's quickly move down to Kenny Rice before the start of the race. Kenny?
Okay, thank you, Dave. With me is Roy Davis, the man who owns Kentucky Spur and has had so many great ones like Barbary Spur and Jaguar Spur. And how do you like Kentucky's chances tonight?
We like his chances a lot. That's the first time he's drawn inside, and I think he'll give him a good race. I look for him to win. If not, he should be safe. But we hope he'll win.
Good luck, Roy.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Roy Davis, the man who is owning Kentucky Spur coming into tonight's race. Back to you, Dave.
Totally Ruthless is at 3-5, and in this series of broadcasts down here, we've had Valley Victory, Peace Corps, and Central Park West, 3 straight races that we've televised, 3 straight odds-on favorites, 3 straight favorites winning it. So Totally Ruthless will try and keep the favorites, the chalk players, in their green. Kentucky Spur at 5-2 is the second choice, and we go up top, and Gary Seibel will call the action wire to wire in this edition of the Breeders' Crown. All on gate. Gary?
There they go. They're off for the pacing, and How About It set out quickly by Tommy Hutton from the outside. Ship Scorch right there, and on the inside of Kentucky Spur now moving up and improving his position. Coming away fourth, 2.5 back, Totally Ruthless, then 2 to Nuke's Image, followed by Sudden Sunshine, Hostile Takeover, and San Andre. Midway through the paddock turn the first time, How About It on top by a length. Chip Scorch on the outside. Kentucky Spur well placed. Opening pedal 27 and 4/5. Now they come up stands the first time. Chip Scorch up on the outside. Our new leader. How about it is back to second. Kentucky Spur on hard in third. Totally Ruthless now in lesser fourth. Luke Simmons two back in fifth. Hospital take over the outside. Followed by Sudden Sunshine and San Andre. They wheel around the clubhouse third. On top, Chip Scorch by 2. How about it? Sits the pocket. Kentucky Spur pulls first over the half in 56 and 1/5. That second quarter, 28 and 2. And now on to the backstretch. It is Chip Scorch by a lane. Kentucky Spur is out in the air. How about it? Third. Totally Ruthless, well placed. He is second over and has live cover right there on the outside now as Nuke's Image at the rail, saving all kinds of ground. Sudden Sunshine followed by Hostile Takeover and San Andre. And as they move into the final turn, Chip Scorch half a lane. Kentucky Spur drives up to the outside. 3/4, 125 flat into the final turn in the final Breeders' Crown Mile for 1988. And divisional honors on the line. Kentucky Spur got Totally Ruthless coming out from the outside. Kentucky Spur by a lane. Totally Ruthless trying to get to him. Mid scratch. Kentucky Spur. Full out to hold on. Totally Ruthless. The battle goes right to the wire. And at the wire, Kentucky Spur takes it in 1:53 and 2/5.
Roy Davis, who bred this horse in Meadowlands, Pennsylvania, said that this horse was sharp and on the inside. Took the long way to go, and Kentucky Spur comes home in a brilliant effort.
And another world record here. We have seen 4 Breeders' Crowns, and we've seen 4 world records at Pompano Park.
But certainly Totally Ruthless did not disgrace himself tonight.
Well, he certainly didn't disgrace himself, but he just could not handle this colt. The colt showed his form last week when he set the track record here. And here's another part of the greatness of harness racing and of racing of horses anywhere. Watch the battle between these 2 superb colts as they come down the lane. John Campbell on the outside, urging Totally Ruthless on, asking him for everything he has. How about it there on the outside for Houghton, but down on the inside, Dick Stillings and Kentucky Spur. And these 2 fight it out to the wire. And had they not won in this time, we would have had a filly world champion. As it is, by a 1/5 of a second, they eclipsed the mark you just saw Central Park West set.
It still says photo finish on the tote board, but it looks to us like Kentucky Spur is unofficially the winner. Totally Ruthless second. We'll be back with the winner's circle activity and talk to the driver, Dick Stillings, after this. Is the unofficial winner of tonight's 10th race here at Pompano, the Breeders' Crown for 2-year-old colts on the pace, owned and bred by Roy Davis. And let's go right now to the winner's circle, Kenny and Ellie.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. With me, the owner, Roy Davis, and I believe the gentleman beside you, Roy, promised you something at the first of the year, and that was a Breeders' Crown Championship.
He sure did, but we didn't think it'd be Kentucky Spur. We thought it'd be Jaguar Spur, but this was the last chance he had, and he did come through.
That's always what matters, right? Coming through.
That's right. He always does.
As Dick has so many times for you, right, Ellie?
I think so. Dick, did you expect this type of performance from this colt tonight?
Well, I figured last week if you come back to that, he would pace in 53 or in a piece. He raced a super mile being first over, and the other horse sitting behind me. I give the horse most of the credit.
It was an incredible mile by Kentucky Spur, and it is true. You promised him that? Boy, that's stepping out.
Well, you know, I was training Jaguar at the time, and he was training so good, so I thought I had it in the bag, but we lost that.
All right, let's take a look at the replay now. Right here, you were first over the whole way. It looked at this point, you were giving Totally Ruthless a perfect trip. Were you afraid of him here?
Definitely, I always thought he would get around me, but my horse digs in, and he'd give a super effort tonight.
Roy, you said earlier that you liked the fact that he had the inside, and you thought he was very sharp coming in here, and that's the way he races.
He really did. Dickie scared me to death when he pulled him so early, because I really thought we might get a front end trip and go wire to wire, but he didn't do it that way, but he won. That's what's important.
And as you say, it's not always how you go along the way, it's how you get there at the end.
That's right, and he's a tough horse. I mean, all year long he's always been outside. He's a U.S. version of Urasi, I think. You know, he likes the middle of the racetrack.
Congratulations, Roy. Dick, congratulations, and congratulations to Kentucky Spur tonight.
Let's take a look At the prices now, it is official. Kentucky Spur, second choice in the wagering, $7 to win, $3 to place, and $2.80 for the show spot. Totally Ruthless paid a mirror $2.40 for place and show. How About It, the 7-horse with Tommy Houghton, $3.20 to show. And we'll be back with more after these messages. Andy Grant, the president of the Hambletonian Society and sponsor of the Breeders' Crown Series, is making the presentation there to Roy Davis. A very happy group in the winner's circle. Kentucky Spur takes the 2-year-old pacing end of it. And let's take a look at the final order of finish. In world record time, it was Kentucky Spur, Totally Ruthless second. How About It finishing third. Then we had Ship Scorch, Nuke's Image, Sudden Sunshine, San Andre, and Hostile Takeover. Let's go down to the winner's circle now.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. And Ellie, it's the kind of racing that we expect in the Breeders' Crown. They say it all comes down to it, and coming into the night, Totally Ruthless had been totally awesome, but just as we saw earlier, it was Kentucky Spur inside, maybe taking a circuitous route, but he got there first under the wire.
I didn't think at this point that the Colts, they were going to have a tough act to follow after Central Park West had won in that fashion, but I was absolutely amazed when Kentucky Spur pulled first over. He gave Totally Ruthless a perfect second over trip, and he just couldn't catch him. Kentucky Spur put on a fabulous performance tonight. Both the 2-year-olds did a tremendous job, and it was just an exciting evening all the way around.
And again, with Kentucky Spur and Central Park West, we certainly have stars to look for next year in the Breeders' Crown Series. Dave?
And since it is the Breeders' Crown, how about a line about the breeding line?
Well, the line is convincing, and the message is 10 years ago, the sport was worried that Meadows Skipper was a dominant sire. We wasn't going to have anywhere to go. We were going to breed ourselves into a corner. Now it appears that the outcross stallions, Abercrombie, Big Towner, and Walton Hanover, who came through tonight, all to Meadows Skipper or Meadows Skipper's daughters, and that's the answer.
And the fillies have come through here in the final two broadcasts.
In amazing fashion. Peace Corps set a world record faster than the Colts. LD's Trish this year set a world record faster than the Colts. Tonight we saw a filly set a world record, Central Park West, faster than the Colts, until the Colts came back and vindicated themselves by 1/5 of a second. Unusual for that kind of filly domination.
And you know, one thing that makes good racing are these rivalries that continue, and I cannot wait to see Totally Ruthless and Kentucky Spur hook up again as a 3-year-old.
Looks like 1989 is going to be another great year for the Breeders' Crowns and for harness racing.
It certainly does, because we've shown in the past two broadcasts that the Breeders' Crown certainly brings the champions, and we hope that you've enjoyed watching these great stars on our racetracks. As we close out the 88 Breeders' Crown Series, let's take a look back and salute this year's champions and send our thanks to Andy Grant, president of the Hambletonian Society, Tom Charters and Moira Sullivan of the Breeders' Crown, John Cashman and his great staff here at Pompano Park, and to our producer Warren Pick and our director Bob Rosberg. Breeders' Crown 88 has been brought to you all year long by Pompano Park, the winter capital of harness racing. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by U.S. Air, the official airline of the Breeders' Crown. Congratulations to all the champions. We'll see you at the races soon. Dave Johnson for Stan Bergstein, Kenny Rice, Ellie Sarama, and Gary Seibel. So long, everyone.
Good night, all.
They both set world records.